Hey guys, my name is Haley and we're filming a very quick video today. I'm just going to film a little mini wrap up before we get into all of the Pride extravaganza videos I have planned, especially since I've already started filming them. I feel like I just need to wrap up what I've read over the last month. I'll tell you right now, it's not a lot because I've also been pre-filming, and we're filming this right before, the day before it has to go up, because I was filming other Pride things this weekend, which is when I normally film things. So we're just going to jump right into this. Also, most of these, if not all of them, are in some other vlog in some way, shape, or form. So if you really want to hear more thoughts than I give in this, go check those out. I'll have them linked down below. Also, it's super nice outside for the first time in probably weeks, and everyone and their mother is outside in their big vroom vroom cars. So I'm hoping the mic is blocking all of that out. Otherwise, we're going to pretend like it's not happening because it's too hot in here for me to close the window. First up, since my last wrap up, I read Project Hail Mary. I gave this 4 stars. Do I think this is overhyped? I don't know. Was it overhyped for me personally? Yes. Is it overhyped for most people, in which this was their favorite book of the year for 4 years running? Apparently not. I might be in the minority in the sense that I have read a decent amount of sci-fi, and this is technically a first contact story. I have not seen the movie yet. I'm hoping to see it pretty soon. I do not believe it's still in theaters, but I'll find a way to watch it. And I don't want to say that I didn't like it. I did. I gave it 4 stars. This is a first contact story of this man who learns that there's this thing called astrophage, which is going to basically kill the sun faster than scientists have always predicted that the sun was going to die. We thought it was something we were going to have to worry about for millions of years. And this astrophage is kind of eating the sun and speeding up that process. So they sent him off in a Hail Mary, literal Hail Mary ship. And he wakes up with amnesia and doesn't remember why he's there. And then he runs into another creature out in space. Was this compulsively readable? Yes. Do I like this more than Andy Weir's other book? Also, yes. Did Artemis come before or after this? I haven't read that one. I did read The Martian, though, and I gave that a 3 star. I do think this is well done. It is not anything I haven't personally seen before. I don't think. I've definitely read a lot of first contact stories, not necessarily ones where it's first contact in space. That is a relatively unique thing in this. I absolutely read this because everyone and their mother was talking about the movie and saying it was their favorite book to movie adaptation ever, and I was like, really? Even over the Hunger Games, or is it just because it's a standalone? I don't know. I'll let you know when I end up watching it in a media I've consumed video sometime soon, hopefully. But this was a solid 4 star for me. And then I read The Measure by Nikki Ehrlich. This is a story in which one day these little tiny wooden appearing boxes end up on everybody's doorstep overnight one day. Nobody knows how they got there. There's no footage of them showing up. Nobody knows where they're from, who they're from, what they are, until they open them and find out that there is a tiny string inside of each one of them. And the length of the string, scientists quickly discover as they're researching this, is the length of your lifespan. How the scientists figured that out from a piece of string, no clue. The strings are also indestructible. I really, really enjoyed this. This is one of my favorite things about sci-fi, is this speculative sci-fi or speculative fiction concept of how would people react if something like this were to happen. And I felt like this was a very realistic portrayal of that. This also has 4 or 5, I could have checked how many. This has at least 4 perspectives of different people. I know one of them happens to be this man is on an airplane, so he misses the time frame that all these boxes appeared, and it still appeared on his box or his doorstep back home. There are people who are homeless on the streets where it's it appeared outside their encampments. We learned very quickly that it only appeared on people's doorsteps who are over the age of 22. Who decided that? Why is that a thing? I don't think we ever got an answer to that one, but we did get an answer to most of the other questions in this besides who did this. I will say I'm absolutely going to pick other books up by this author. I think she had another one come out earlier this year that I'm very excited to get to. I don't believe that it's queer though, so I probably won't get to it in June. So it might be a July book, but I'm very much looking forward to that. You think you'd pick a time of day where people aren't leaf blowing. You think that time of day would be 6 p.m. since everybody likes to leaf blow at 10 a.m. or whatever. Apparently I was wrong. 6 p.m. perfect time to leaf blow and like drag things around the yard loudly outside the window. Got it. Also, why do leaf blowers exist? The leaves are helping your yard. It's keeping it alive. American exceptionalism and obsession with their yards is destroying the planet. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Oh, I forgot to mention Project Hail Mary, The Measure, and this next book were all in the same vlog, so that will be linked. But the next book that I read was Elysium Girls. This was one I really, really enjoyed. Way more than I expected to. I picked this up on a whim. I'm like eating my hair, and now it's hot because I had to close the window. I picked this up on a whim in LA last summer at a little adorable bookshop. If I can find a picture, I'll put that bookstore up here. I don't know how far back I have to scroll to find those. That might have been a bad idea. But this is the story of this game of the gods. There's one god called life, one god called death. I don't know if there's other gods in this because this is a very like insular story. It takes place in the town of Elysium, which is in Oklahoma, I believe, in the Oklahoma Panhandle in 1930s. These like mechanical soldiers show up one day and we're like, you are now in a game of chess with a game of life and death, or the gods of life and death. I'm going to read the little tagline in case you want to hear it because I feel like not enough people have read this book. I think there's only like 200 reviews on Goodreads. It's been out since like 2020. The goddesses of life and death have begun a game. They have given you exactly 10 years to build your city. No more, no less. During those years, you will put aside 1/3 of your crops for us every year. We will return at sunset on the final day to judge you. If we judge your society good and responsible despite your difficulties, then life has won and your society will continue. If your society has been irresponsible and death has won the game, then death has won the game and every man, woman, and child shall be slain. I also was hoping, I had no indication of this, but I was hoping that there was going to be some queer things in here, which is very rare for historicals. I've been really into queer historical fiction. If you have any recommendations, please let me know. I also had a suspicion that this might be something religious in nature, not only because it's set in the 1930s out west in America, but also because the author's name is Kate Pentecost. And as somebody who came out of a Pentecostal church, I was like, is that a reference? Are we evangelical? Are you still Pentecostal? Like, what's the deal here? Is there a picture? There is. She does not look Pentecostal. But who knows? As somebody who can spot a Pentecostal from like a mile away, I would say no. But I've really enjoyed this. And I need water because my voice is disappearing and I've been talking for all of 5 minutes. But I really enjoyed this. I think this is severely underrated. It also plays a little bit with like demons, or the difference between demons and daemons, which I don't think I knew before this, even as somebody who's read a lot of paranormal. So we're following our main character, Sal, who there are little snippets here and there. I think I have them in the blue tabs. There's like blue and purple tabs. They look very similar looking at them now. I should have done a different color. But there were certain instances of Sal being attracted to other women. So I was like, oh, there is gay stuff in here. This is a YA, so there's nothing spicy about it. But I do think it is a very good portrayal of somebody who was queer back in the 1930s, even in a like magical element like the game of life and death in here. I thought it was a great addition to a little historical about gods and goddesses and these mechanical horses and being very trapped inside this town. Because not only does it take place in Elysium, but also we see what happens like outside the walls and how people have to scavenge for food and how it's supposedly they don't survive well out there. We also see nods of whether or not the rest of the world even exists or if this is something that is happening all over the world. But I really, really enjoyed this. I gave this 4.5 stars, and I've been on the hunt for her other book. And then I DNF'd a book that I'm quickly going to mention because I think I mentioned it in one of my vlogs. Which one, couldn't tell you. But I did DNF the audiobook of Dominion by Addie C. Kitchens. I thought this was going to be a look at like deconstructing religious people. That is not what this was. This is just people being hypocrites outside of their church structure and how the church like isn't helping any of them. And the 30% that I listened to the audiobook. I also will be so transparent and say the reason I DNF'd this was because there were actual snippets of the pastor of the church like preaching And it had like the pad and everything and the music in the background, and I was like, oh, I don't like that. That's triggering for my brain. No, thank you. So I DNF'd it. This might be a great book. It was not for me. If I do ever come back to it, which I don't necessarily plan to, I will be reading the ebook. And then I read The Inevitable Ruin by Matt Dinneman. This is book 7, because book 8 is the one that just came out. One day I will know which one of these books I'm on. Today is not that day. I read this. It was great. It was fantastic. Gave it 4 stars. I love this series so much. It was on my favorite books of last year, this series in general. I am here for the long haul when it comes to Carl and Donut. I also really like the resolution of this book in particular, and I can't say much else about it because it's the 7th book in a series. And then literally the other day, I binge read I Survived Capitalism, and all I got was this lousy t-shirt by Madeline Pendleton. I have owned this since it came out, and I never read it because I wanted to immersion read it. And as somebody who tends to binge read books, immersion reading slows me down because I wanted to annotate it, and I wanted to listen to the audiobook because everything I've consumed of Madeline's content since 2021, when they were starting to get their start on TikTok, has been audio. I also listen to their podcasts. So this is a story of Madeline's life, where they came from, what their family situation was, what their financial situation was. It chronicles all of the really depressing parts of their life as well. And I will say there is one line in here that says, coming from a person at a party who was like, I don't hate capitalism, but hearing your life story, I understand why you do. And that pretty much sums it up. As somebody who does hate capitalism and who agrees with Madeline on most things and watches their live streams every weekday, this was for me. I give this 5 stars. I understand that people have very strong opinions about this human being. I disagree with almost all of them, and you can argue with the wall. Because I also watched their smear campaign happen in real time on TikTok when all of the things were happening with the election and everything, and it was the worst game of telephone I've ever seen in my entire life, of a bunch of people saying things just for engagement that had no idea what they were talking about. And that's coming from someone who has followed them for a long time and has watched hundreds of hours of their content, of their podcasts, of their book, has spoken to them here and there. I approve of everything that Madeline speaks about and talks about, so I really enjoyed this book. And then yesterday, I very quickly binge read Heated Rivalry. I'm going to mention that, and that's all I'm going to say because it's going to be in its own video next week to kick off Pride Month of me reading and watching Heated Rivalry. Slight spoiler, I loved it. And that's all I'm going to say on that. But yeah, that's everything I've read in the last month or so. I'm currently trying to finish A Parade of Horribles, which is book 8 in Dungeon Crawler Carl before Pride Month. Not sure if that's going to happen. I'm also too scared to read it in some capacity because I don't want to be fully caught up with the series, because then I have nothing else to read. I suppose I could go back and listen to the audiobooks, but also I'm not paying for those on Audible. No thank you. And I think they're an Audible exclusive, so that might not be in the cards, but I am reading this very slowly. I read literally the first page and was like, oh my god, there's no more after this. And I don't think we're going to get a release date anytime soon, considering this one just came out a week and a half ago. But yeah, those are all the books I've read in the month of May. I hope you all enjoyed this. If you just want to say hi or interact with the video in some way, leave me the rocket ship emoji for Project Hail Mary. But I hope you all enjoyed this. Thank you all for watching, and I will see all of you guys next time.